Ultimate Ironman mode, a game mode that, on top of having the restrictions from normal Ironman mode, as not being able to trade with other players and not being able to be helped by them, as an added restriction of not being able to use a bank. This game mode only exists in old school Runescape. A lot of people in Runescape 3 have deemed it impossible and just not doable. Well, there's a person that really wants to prove them wrong. Introducing Sir Nobanque. Nobanque really wants to conquer the world of Gielinor without ever having to deposit anything into a bank. The objective of the series is to get a maxcape. Now, I never played Ironman mode, much less Ultimate Ironman mode, and I've never been a noob in RuneScape 3, so I really don't know what to do. Now, what I did think about was Ultimate Ironman ended up actually dropping a lot of items, and instead of dropping them, I want to actually start disassembling them, and for that, we need Invention. So, Invention. As I said, I want Invention to get started on component gathering, and the way you gather components is by disassembling items. Now, I don't want to get into everything that Invention does right now, but what you need to know is that it's an elite skill. And you need to unlock it. For you to unlock it, there's 3 skills that you need to get to level 80. So you need level 80 smithing, 80 crafting, and 80 divination. Now, out of those 3 skills, I decided to start by divination since it was the most simple skill. Divination is actually a pretty simple skill. There's a couple of rifts throughout Gielinor, all of them have a different level requirement and a different tier, and they have these wisps. The skill essentially is all about gathering these wisps, which means that you get memories and then you deposit the memories in the rift in order to get energy from it. And that's the XP that you get in the skill, that's how you train it. So I started by the level 1 spot in Lumbridge and I did that until 10. I also picked up the Chronicles, which are those orange orbs which give you Enter XP, so I'll be gaining a few Enter levels from this, which I completely forgot. But yeah, at level 10 I moved to Falador. And I did that until level 20, as you essentially just unlock a new rift and tier every 10 levels, with the exception of level 85 and 95. But yeah, this is what I'll be doing for a little while. Now, before I actually kept training, I decided to try and go and do my clues. And good thing, because my easy clue actually sent me to Ardoin. And that's good because the next Wisp colony is actually in Catherby, which requires me to go through the White Wolf Mountain. So I made my way to Berthorpe, unlocked the Taverley Lodestone, and tried to go to Catherby. And yes, I absolutely panicked, and I died to the White Wolves, because I did not know where the other tunnel actually was, or if there was another tunnel, since I was under the impression that there wasn't another tunnel. So you actually have to make your way through 2 tunnels. I finally figured it out, and I made my way to Catherby, unlocked the Lodestone, made my way to Ardoin, unlocked that Lodestone, and finally completed the first clue step. This next clue step actually sent me to Draenor Manor. Now I teleported to Falador, unlocked the Portserim Lodestone, and unlocked the Draenor Lodestone to complete the clue scroll. The next step sent me to the Champions Guild, so I did a little bit of a detour to actually go unlock the Lumbridge Lodestone because I completely forgot to actually unlock it when I was in Lumbridge, and then I unlocked the Varrock Lodestone and I proceeded to actually finish the clue. Now the clue reward wasn't anything amazing, however I decided to keep it since I didn't actually have anything equipable at the moment, and so since I didn't actually lose any inventory spots or anything like that, just kept the Fashionscape. Another important thing out of all of this is that, and the reason as to why I'm going out of my way to unlock Lodestone is they are really important, especially for early game traveling, because without them it takes ages to get literally everywhere. I have no teleports, no magic level to teleport, no low runes or anything like that, so Lodestones are actually going to play a huge part in how you travel around, which is exactly why I'm going out of my way to specifically unlock them. Before I actually went to try and do this medium clue, I decided to go to the general store and just sell the items that I didn't need for some GP. At the end of the day, inventory spaces are really important, so anything that I'm not going to immediately use, I should just get rid of. And I started to do my medium clue. First step, Draenor, all fine. The second step sent me to the middle of Karanja, which I don't have the Lodestone, so I actually had to pay the fare. But I only had 15 GP, so I had to actually thieve some woman in Lumbridge to get the other 15 GP, and eventually made my way, unlocked the Lodestone, so I no longer need to have 30 GP for the fares, and yeah, the next clue step required me to equip stuff, which I can't at the moment, and I think that at this point it's a good thing to mention that I'm not actually looking to do clues, as in they're not a requirement right now and I can do most of them right now. Ultimately, I'm just doing them out of fun. At level 30, I made my way to Catherby, to the new colony. Went to the Fremenic place, unlocked that Lodestone, and stayed there until 50. There isn't a lot of footage of that because most of it was on mobile. Now at 50 I unlocked yet another place, but first I actually went to complete yet another easy clue, and I decided to sell my energy for GP, which isn't much, but it is some starting GP. So we're about to get level 60 divination here. There you go, level 60 divination. And we've got a bunch of stuff. We unlocked the Vibrant Wisps, which is the most important thing, which is where I'm going to move to next, and 20 levels to go for my 80. So I don't really need this energy for anything, so rather than just dropping it, I'm just going to sell it to the store. And yeah, there we go, 41k. We made some GP out of it. Finally, okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to sell the energy, I'm going to do the clues, and I'll see you on my next spot because I only have 10 more levels to go. Oh shit, okay. We didn't get anything from that, but I did not expect to be able to finish that, so that's our first medium clue. Okay, so I'm gonna be selling all of this because I really don't have any use for it right now, and I could do with some GP, so... And there we go, we're up to 200k. So this will be our place for the next 10 levels. This place is called the Hall of Memories. It's a place that you can train divination. This place contains wisps from level 70 to level 95. And the way you actually train divination here is you have some jars, you get those jars, and then by trying to get the wisps, you fill up those jars with energy that then you deposit on you deposit full jar on the rift for an even bigger XP bonus. Now there are two caveats to this place, which is while it is faster XP, you don't actually gain any energy from it. All of the energy is on the jars that then you'll deposit on the rift, so you actually gain nothing from it. And secondly, you actually do need to pay attention. At the end of the day, the wisps actually change place every 20 to 30 seconds, so it is actually a bit click intensive, and you do need to pay attention if you want to get some good XP rates. So I completed the mini quest with the bot, so I'm gonna just end them in. And they should give us a bit of extra XP, yes, 10k. So I just realized that if you have your inventory full and you find this way to spy on it, instead of getting the casket, it goes to your bank. So this could be one of those cases where it's like, well, if I didn't have it, I could just have gotten it, but I'm probably gonna destroy it. But we'll see. As it stands, I am simply not allowed to use my bank, which means that this casket, unfortunately, is going to be destroyed. Like, I know it sucks, but at the end of the day, if I allow the casket and, I get the reward from it because, I could have just had the inventory slot open, I think that it opens the doors for, like, a lot of things and a lot of exploitation of the rule. Like, for example, me using porters in order to get stuff in my bank, right, and stuff like that. So ultimately, I think that for now it's just better and much more clear that I simply cannot use the bank. So anything that comes to my bank, it's unusable. And as you can see, I have nothing in it. No, because of that bank thing, I think it's important to actually talk about the rules, establish them, and actually talk about them in depth. So obviously, rule number 1 of the series is you're not allowed to use the bank in any capacity, right? I think that it would cheapen the account if I was able to use it. Rule number 2 is mini banks are allowed but discouraged. So by mini banks, what I mean is the archaeology bank for the things, the items to restore artifacts, or the metal bank where you can store ores and bars. Now, the reason as to why I say that it's allowed but I discourage it, it's simply because ultimately, if I were to not allow these things, I would lock myself out of way too much content. So in order to not lock myself out of content, I am allowed to use them. However, I don't want to abuse them as a bank, right? I want to just simply be allowed to use the thing to unlock content, but not use it as an actual bank, right? At least not for now anyway, right? My third rule is that currency pouches are allowed. The currency pouch, for the most part, I wasn't going to allow it at the beginning of the series, but at the end of the day, most of what it has is mainly very niche currencies from like mini games and activities you do in the game. It's really not a very big, it doesn't really do much for the account, especially because most of the stuff I would just drop it anyway if I didn't have the currency pouch. So ultimately, yeah, the currency pouch isn't a huge upgrade or anything like that, so I just decided to allow it. Rule number 4 is I am not allowed to boss with other people. I know that in old school you need to be in a group, Ironman, to actually boss with other people. But in RuneScape 3 they made it so you can actually boss with other irons as long as you're in the same instance and as long as you're an iron, right? I discourage that because I really don't want to just cheese the entire series by just doing that, right? The fifth rule is that stuff like DnDs or holiday events or limited time events are not allowed either. Ultimately, a lot of those, if my main objective is to actually max the account, allowing those would defeat a lot of the purpose and make a lot of stuff trivial. Like, for example, the beach event as a engineering goal where you can just literally AFK the engineering, and that would just cheapen the experience and the challenge of the account if I was just allowed to use that. Ultimately, and especially because when people look at this, I don't want them in the future to remove the engineering goal and then it's like, oh yeah, so I can no longer do what you did back then, right? So anything that is a DnD that doesn't unlock content is not allowed. And I say that doesn't unlock content because Tears of Gothic is a weekly that gives XP in the lowest skill that you have. I'm allowing it for the simple fact that it's a quest, and you need to do the quest to unlock stuff around the game. Not to do the mini game, but to actually just unlock more content, right? So if it doesn't unlock content and all it does is give XP, then I'm not allowing it. And the last rule is anything that is collecting systems, so the Sothenham Slayer dungeon thing or the Elite dungeon chests and whatnot, those are allowed if I can directly retrieve the items to my inventory space. I'm not sure if every single collection system allows you to actually retrieve items directly or if you have to send them all to the bank, but if I have to send them to the bank, it's pretty much that content. If I can directly retrieve them, then those collection systems are allowed. I will have all of these rules linked in the description, so you can always go down there and check them out. Obviously, I'm not going to explain all of it in the description every time. There's just going to be the simple rules for you to be able to know what's going on. And if there is any exception in the future, I will also link it there, and I'll be sure to tell you that there is an exception, because at the end of the day, a lot of content in RuneScape is not very uniform, and ultimately there's gonna be more exceptions. Look at that, almost an entire inventory full of jars. I'm filling up the last jars at 31%. I've been AFKing at the faded memory, although sometimes when I'm paying attention I do the lustrous memories there. And there's also a little thing that you can do, which is every time you see the XP drop on screen, you can just re-click again and it will make it a tick faster, I think, which make things significantly faster. So let's fill in this last jar, and I'm gonna throw everything, which should get me level 73, I think. Okay, there we go. That is a full div level pretty much. We're 9k away from the next one, so we're almost level 72. That was literally a one-step clue, what? And I got fucked off. And this should be it. There we go. 80 divination. Finally we got it. Okay, we unlocked something. There we go. Elite skill Invention. Finally. So now we have 2 more skills to go. Smithing and crafting.